Hi everyone, welcome to HROne Masterclass. We will start in a few minutes, just waiting for a few more people to join. So we'll start in another 5 7 minutes. Loved by 2,000 plus brands, trusted by 10 lakh plus active users. At HR1, our goal is not just to build smart HR tech, but also spark smarter conversations across the HR space. And today's session is a step in that direction. Today's masterclass is on the topic the new age recruiter, brand like a marketer, close like a coach. We are living in a time when the way we recruit has changed dramatically. Candidates weren't just looking for a job, they're looking for meaning, values, and experience. And as recruiters, we are no longer just filling roles, we are building relationships, telling brand stories, and influencing talent decisions like never before. In this session, we'll explore how today's recruiters can step into a more evolved role, build their personal brand like a marketer, drive conversations like a coach, and also candidates with trust, not pressure. And as we go along, feel free to drop your questions in the comment box. We'll make sure to pick them up after the masterclass during the Q&A. A little about our speaker today. To lead today's conversation, we are joined by someone who truly embodies the future of HR and talent leadership, Reetu Raina. Reetu is the founder and CEO of Element Skill, where she works at the intersection of talent, leadership, culture, skill, and the future of work. She brings over 2 decades of rich HR experience, having held strategic leadership roles. Her work spans across talent acquisition, leadership development, and culture transformation. And what really stands out about her is her passion for making HR more human, more strategic, and more impactful. Today, she is here to share what it takes to be a recruiter who doesn't just hire, but attracts, engages, and closes with purpose. Welcome, and over to you, Ritu.
Here, and I'm glad that I'm here. As Sugandha rightly mentioned, one of the things which I'm really passionate about is how do we develop HR as a strategic arm to the business and help them to deliver the value which is expected out of them. And when I look back at my career journey, which has been more than 2.5 decades, and while trying to design element skill, one of the key things which we have been focusing apart from consulting and skilling is focusing on the hiring, because I think gone are the days when hiring used to be an operational job or a level 3 job in an organizations, because today the success of the organizations completely depends on what kind of talent they are able to attract and what kind of talent they are able to retain. Now, this shift has been going on, I would say, quite slowly but exponentially since 2020. If we have to look at what has it meant for recruiters or the talent acquisition, is completely redefining the way they have to position themselves, or I would say develop themselves. And that's what exactly led us to the topic that it's no more about recruiting, it's about marketing like a brand. And of course, it's not about a job and fulfilling a job, it's more like being a career coach to the people and helping them to find their next opportunity. Now, what has really changed in these years? If you look 20 years or 15 years back, you had positions and you had to fulfill those positions, and you had a supply in the market about those people, and you would just try to see what is the right match to the right people. But what has happened in the last 1.5 decade is technology, which started as an IT services industry, eventually it started seeping into any every industry, whether you talk about manufacturing, banking, telecom. But at the same time, HR or TA was also not untouched by it. So what does it mean? It means it brought opportunities for us, whether we talk about talent attraction, but it also brought challenges for us. So what does it mean? It's not about finding the right people for the right job and they're just filling them. It's about how do you attract these people. Now, There are multiple ways people can find jobs. It's no more, I think there was an era pre Naukri also. I think today it's, Naukri is one of the things. So there are multiple ways. So in those things, how are you able to position yourself as a brand and build that long term talent pipeline using technology and using the right uh, branding for the roles or the positions which you are trying to fill. So, from an action job, it has actually moved into thinking and a strategy job. And the people who are able to do it well are able to attract the talent and are able to really fulfill the positions much faster. I there used to be saying that you pay and talent will be attracted. I think today there are multiple good paymasters in the market, but do all of them attract talent? Answer is no. Who attracts talent? The companies or their talent acquisition partners who are actually positioning their brands well, who are building those relationships, who are able to identify the sources for building those talent pipelines, and then fulfilling of the roles which used to be the main focus many, many years back just stays at the end state of the process. Now, as recruiters, if we are not able to position our brand, if we are not able to build the relationship, identify the resources for building the talent pipelines, we would never be able to deliver our job. And today, if you ask me, what does it mean not having talent at that time? Actually, it is only an organization, it might come in a small business. Now, the shift from transaction to strategy, with this shift from, you know, a linear world where you have a position and you have to fulfill a job, to move to creating this brand, building relationship and talent pipelines, is what really becomes a differentiator for a professional. And when you look at how do I, now the question is, okay, I have to be a brand, I have to build a relationship, but how do I be a brand, right? Now the key components to be a brand is, am I visible? Do people see me? For example, if today you have to identify a talent, you will go to the various sources and you will identify the profiles. But it's not only you will identify the profiles from different sources, you will also identify, or you will also gauge their capability, their, I would say, that market footing through various resources, which are the social media platforms and all that. So now, we as recruiters, are we present in those places? Are we participating in those professional communities? Do we get to know about that one best idea which is coming in the market? If I'm going and approaching someone for hiring, he first checks, am I really that trustworthy recruiter? Do I have really that kind of a brand or a thinking process? So he scans me from these places. So what becomes really very important is your visibility. And now there are two ways to build that visibility. One is, I go mindlessly about it and I just say I will be present wherever I can. The answer is, it doesn't really work that way. That means, I'm creating a visibility without a meaning. What is very important is, do I create a visibility with a meaning? And how do I do that? What is the kind of content I am writing? What is the kind of platforms I am participating? Am I responsibly responding to the various things which are coming my way? So, creating that a strategy or a design for visibility becomes really key. Is there a consistency of the content or my representation? Now, once we work on that visibility part, what really becomes important is, you as a TA or as a recruiter, the first interface any potential candidate has with the organization is you. He is experiencing the organization through you. The way you speak, the way you conduct, the way you are able to keep up to the responses, everything matters to him. Because if there's an XYZ organization and I'm representing it, he is actually relating my behavior to the organization. Does your brand have that attributes? When we say, sometimes as recruiters we get really bogged down, because we have multiple people applying for the jobs. There could be out of x number, there could be one selection. But how am I treating everyone respectfully? Is my brand and my behavior and my conversation really speaking about the brand? Now, once we are representing ourselves a brand, every relation, and here when we talk about a talent acquisition and the candidate, this relationship is not about he or she needing a job and you are you fulfilling that position. It's about the value you are trying to create for him in that conversation. I recollect, I was working on a senior mandate for an organization, and even though it was almost at the last stage of closure, the candidate asks me, "No, I'm asking you as my career coach. Do you think it makes sense for me?" So imagine building that level of trust, helping with them with an advice, giving them an insights, and really genuine assistance is what really creates this whole relationship very valuable, which means the particular candidate is really valuing my insight. He feels that I might have more information, I might have more experience, I might have more knowledge about the organization. So creating that value for the candidate will depend on how much knowledgeable you are, how much genuine you are trying to assist this person, and do you really have a capability to give insight to that person. Now, once you try to be valuable to this particular candidate, I think last but not the least, I'm sure as recruiters, we always get frustrated when we have no shows, and no shows are a very common thing these days. But apart from that, you also build your own network with good candidates by really building that credibility. Sometimes, there could be a possibility that there are some things which candidate can't see, and it's very important how the compensation breakup is done, what is the organization's plans for expansion, how organization is planning to build. So build that credibility by being transparent, because at the end of the day, that move of a career is their decision. But if you are transparent to them, they will value you more rather than just trying to sell them something which times sometimes may not always be true. Now, last but not the least is consistency in the interaction. I always say that recruitment is like that cycle in which, you start the whole conversation with the opportunity and a candidate for the opportunity. But eventually, when you go through the process, there are many highs, there are many lows. Sometimes you might be excited, I'm closing the offer, and the candidate is getting offered, and things will move. And sometimes you might be getting disappointed, you feel that it's not going anywhere. From the client side or from the organization side, there are some changes, or from the candidate side. But irrespective of the changes, either from the org side or from the candidate side, am I really building consistent interactions? Now, the question is, how do I build consistent interactions? If I am being truthful to the candidate and to the organization as well, rather than being opportunist. Because being an opportunist may help me in the short term, but may not help me in the long term. Now, when you look at a brand, take any brand which we associate with. If we even take, let us, for the sake of analogy, move away from the employer brand, go to a consumer brand. We relate to brand for attributes. And though, what are those attributes? That the brand is trustworthy, the brand is creating value for me, and I can find this brand wherever I want. Now, when you translate these attributes of a consumer brand to an employer or an employer brand, which many times as a talent acquisition partner or as a recruiter we represent that organization, there is a similar expectations from us also. So from that perspective, your branding has to be, you have to market it like a brand, and you have to eventually become a talent magnet. Irrespective of the places these people will go, they will say, what, Ritu is a great recruiter, I would like to go and talk to her even if this opportunity is at a different place. Are you really becoming that brand for the the candidates? Are you marketing it so that you are becoming a talent magnet rather than just a transactional exercise which keeps happening? Long back in my career, I was heading a talent acquisition head for my organization while I was the CHRO there. I remember there was a candidate whose LinkedIn profile said that if I have found an opportunity, if I have viewed your profile, I have found an opportunity. I might have an opportunity for you. This tag itself was so inquisitive. I really went deeper and I tried to understand. And then we reached out to that candidate. We interviewed him. We eventually hired him. And he worked with me for a long time. So, what I'm trying to say is that even those keywords about that visibility and then living up to those keywords and creating that consistency and value is what are the key attributes of a brand we aspire for. And for us, we have to be actually that brand. Now, when you talk about branding, one of the key elements of branding is how do I create, as I said, you can look at a consumer brand, but when we look at the recruitment brand, it has, you are one as a person, but second is the various channels with which you talk to the outer world. For example, what is the consistency on your channels? For example, if you look at the way you position your opportunities on LinkedIn, is your LinkedIn and is your company career page, or even maybe sometimes Glassdoor, which is not in our hands, but still, is there something what we are saying and claiming to be and exactly opposite is on the other websites or on other channels? But the two channels like LinkedIn and company career page, they are very much in our control. How are we talking about roles there? How are we representing our EVP there? Do they talk the same language? Imagine there's a person who is applying for an opportunity on the LinkedIn page, but eventually when he goes to the company career page, he finds information or anything which is very, very different from what he found on LinkedIn. So there has to be consistency. Now, you have to be authentic, because in today's world, we are scanned as a company, we are scanned as a professional everywhere. Now, when you are scanned, if you make up stories and if you speak something which is more of a, I would say, imagination and less of the reality, people will catch you. So, what really becomes important, rather than talking about the idealistic world, you should actually share genuine stories of employee experience. You should talk about successes and company culture. So when you do that, and it can resonate, it should resonate with the candidate. For example, we were working on some assignment with a large mining company which is into technology as well. And in the process, there were a few things which were great about that organization. And when we started working with them as a partner, we realized they were not really talking about it much, and they were not also in showcasing on their company page and on the LinkedIn. So we started using that. We created an EVP and we started actually talking to the candidates about that. The moment some elements of that culture, for example, growth, for example, respect for each other, it resonates with the candidates, then they make decisions basis the values and not the compensation. Many times the decisions on compensation are made because we have not been articulative enough about the values the organization provides. And more than less, it's the values which may connect them more than actually the compensation. Of course, compensation is important, but it is not everything. If you are able to really create that balanced positioning of the organization, it's definitely helps. Now, regarding the social presence and engagement, whatever conversations, whatever content we are sharing, whether online or offline, we have to really participate in them in a way that it is consistent with our previous channels. So that there is a two types of content on the social media or on the platforms. One is a dynamic content and there's a static content. Static content is what is put on your company page or on your LinkedIn page. What is the dynamic content is what you are sharing day to day. It keeps changing, but the dynamic content cannot be disassociated from the static content. So before the last, when you talk about the brand of a recruitment, the key element of a strong recruitment brand is you have to cultivate a reputation as an industry expert and a helpful resource. Even before you reach a candidate or you reach a potential talent for your organization, you should be known. It's very tough when you reach someone and he doesn't know anything about the organization, and not every organization is the top 500 organizations or like that. So you have to start creating that outreach and a reputation, so that when you reach the candidate, there are some nudges, there are some words, there is something which is fallen through their ears, so that when you actually move forward, that brand has already done that part of the work which I spoke on the slide number 1. It has already built that relationship, it has already built that trust. In today's world, you don't only build trust through your interactions, you build trust through um, others experiences, and that's what exactly the point number 2 about sharing genuine stories comes in. So when this all information is populated and they have heard through others experiences, and they sometimes may even, I'm sure you must have seen, they reach to people on LinkedIn and say, hey, you look for this company, I'm thinking of joining there, what do you think about this organization? So I think that whole process of reaching, creating that awareness about your organization helps you to create that outreach better, because when you reach them, they already know about you, they have some information about you. So, from a recruiting brand perspective, this consistency, the across channels, the storytelling and authenticity by experience and not by our makeup stories, this dynamic content which we are creating on social presence and engagement, and being known before you outreach are the key elements which will help you in creating a strong brand. Now, when we look at okay, you will say, okay, Ritu, it's easier said than done. Now, how do I really create a strong brand? I think one of the things which, of course, technology has really helped us all. We are using Chat GPT even to match the JD with the CV, and we are using the recruitment is using technology like anything. But when we are overusing technology, one of the things which is definitely missing is the humanization of the content. People are always trying to look who is behind the scenes, who is talking to me. Because if all the content and everything is being created by AI or by agents, then automatically it will be dry. It will not have that humanization impact. So, the element of humanization is very important in creating the engaging content. And there you have a role to play. You can pour in your years of experience in that content creation rather than just depending on the AI. So, even LinkedIn posts and videos. Now, as I said, that being visible, if I go to the slide number 1, it has to be designed, not visible for the sake of being visible. So utilize LinkedIn for thought leadership. Use short testimonials from employers, which will talking about sharing the experiences, and then eventually use a job posting. Now think about a situation where you don't do any thought leadership, you do not even use testimonials, and you just keep using job posting over a period of time. What is the impression your audience is getting? The audience is getting impression. It's one of the run of the mill recruiter or a talent acquisition partner here who is trying to just fulfill his position. Now, if you build this consistency around thought leadership, if you build testimonials, and if you then post the jobs, it will create a very different impression than only just posting the jobs. Sometimes, I would say not sometimes, many times, candidates are lost. They're also wanting to really have that role, and they don't know what is the one step to another. Most of the organizations have ATSs. Again, sometimes they get lost in this process, and it is very difficult for you all to really reach to so many people. If I have 100 applicants for one job, I can't really keep guiding. But am I really creating those guides? Am I publishing those guides so that people don't have to wait for my next set of instructions? They can go to these guides, follow the steps, and reach there. Now, what will you do here? You will actually leverage your time. At the same time, you will create an employee or a candidate experience. Sometimes we always have this dilemma as recruiters. I have a pressure from the business to fulfill the position, and I have to create an employee, a candidate experience, and there are so many candidates. So you can utilize technology to help you create this, and social media to publish this. So you are able to create that candidate experience, and you're also able to get the best candidate for yourself and for the organization. Last but not the least, in the what is really important in the content creation is highlight uniqueness, clearly articulate what makes this opportunity stand out, whether it is an innovative project, whether it is a work life balance, or whether it's a career development progress. Because there are a run of mill of jobs in the market, but every job or every organization always has something unique to offer. There are organizations which are very fast paced. There might not be work balance, but there would be growth. There are organizations which might not be growing fast, but they might give you a work life balance. There are organizations who are working really on the cutting edge. Now, what is that one uniqueness about your organization? Whether it is being a cutting edge or innovation, whether it is work life balance, or whether it is growth, talk about those. Because when you talk about uniqueness and when you publicize that uniqueness, what happens? The candidates get attracted to what they are looking for. Say, for example, if I'm a very ambitious person and I'm looking for an opportunity which will make me grow faster, the moment I see this word growth, I will quickly jump into that opportunity. So it will not look like to me another mill of a job, for example, a cloud engineer or a data engineer. So I will really look for those keywords, and you have to make these keywords stand out for your organization. Now, till now, we have been talking about branding. And if I have to really talk about branding and close it here, branding helps us to attract the talent actively as well as passively. It helps us to build the credibility, and it also helps us to move and progress further. Now, eventually, when you reach to the last piece of the whole recruitment or the recruitment process, where we are trying to identify the right candidate for the organization, and you're at the stage of closure. And if you go to my earlier slide, I was talking about, is he asking you for advice? I think what becomes important in branding, you are selling them, you're telling them what this organization stands for. Now half the job is done. He's about to move, and he might be moving on, or she might be moving on. Now, what really becomes important is, are you changing your hat from selling to advising? Because now it is an opportunity where this person would actually be taking up this job. Now, there, he needs your help. Now, it is not about push you are doing. Now, it's about the pull he is expecting from you to help or advise. So, and if you look at the here, you have to become like a career coach to him or her. And if we talk about various things, what is his goals? Is he really looking for a fast paced organization or a growth oriented organization which this can provide him? uh, you know in terms of offer solutions, whether it is a compensation breakup, whether it is about benefits, whether it's about other things, what could be the possible solutions, rather than he just saying yes and no. You can give him various iterations. So growth and learning, is this opportunity also helping them to develop his skill, and how is it helping him to develop his skill? Sometimes for some jobs we may not get 100% ready candidates, we might get 70 to 80% candidates, and it all depends on the talent supply in the market. So there, are we really helping them to identify what is the those growth and learning opportunities which this job has to offer? Because sometimes candidates are on the other side, they may not be able to see it, but it's your role, because you know the organization well, you know the role well, and you also know the candidate well. It's important to highlight them. If you take this opportunity, it might help you for your next career move, because this opportunity is offering you this and this growth opportunity. And last but not the least, when you're doing this whole coaching and advising process, is also you talk about the openness or the flexibility which the candidates has to create in themselves while they are working for the opportunities. Because at the end of the day, when you look at the candidates, their vision is a tunnel vision, because they are looking at an opportunity just tailor made as per the attributes I have, and is it meeting my current goals? Now, when we talk about from selling to advising, we have to change that tunnel approach to much more broader sky spectrum. When I say sky spectrum, we actually know everything about the organization, we know about the role, so we help them to identify those things. And one thing again, I would always recommend in advice, do not become preachy, because when you become preachy, it's difficult. People after one point in time stop taking you. So become more self-reflecting and discovery for these candidates. And how do I do that? By really asking the right questions. I think this opportunity has to offer this. Do you really think that's what you're looking at in your career? I see, you see the offer this way, but there could be possible solutions. You can have your call at the end of the day, but I'm here to help you with what could be the possibility of the solutions, right? What are your goals in the long run, right? What are your motivations? And whatever brief interactions we had been during this process, I felt that you're really looking for an organization which will stretch you, which will make you grow. I understand, in the current role, this is what you are liking, but here it's a bit less structured, but there's a growth here. So why don't you jump into this ship, because it's very much aligned with your long-term career goals? So using these advising via a coaching process. And what is a coaching process? Coaching process is where you ask questions, you push people to discover about themselves, you push people to discover about the organization. Ultimately, they are the ones who take a call, because if they take a call themselves, they feel more genuine, that they have done the right thing and it was the right thing to do, and I was not pushed for him, and they trust you more. So I think this shift from branding to closing like a coach is the shift which we go through in this recruitment process. And as we move forward, we have to talk, as I said in the last slide, we have to use powerful questions in these conversations. It's not about preachy, it's not about kyan. So go ask these questions, because these questions will help you go deeper. And then, even for example, empathizing and active listening, sometimes they might be having real concerns which we have not to shut our ears to. We have to listen to them, we have to help to answer them. And the moment we are active listeners, we are able to build on their data and kind of replay to them. And of course, we have to do the personalized follow-ups and reference specific conversation. We spoke this on that and that day, you wanted this information about how do benefits look like. This is the question, answers I have got for you, please have a look at it. So it's not just saying, hello, have you closed, are you moving on? No, I'm helping you with all the queries, all the answers, and let me know how are your thoughts about it. And last but not the least, in this whole process of coaching, is provide the honest feedback, whether they get the role or not, whether they will take the role or not. Many times I always keep pushing my team, ask for the feedback from the company, ask for the feedback from the candidate, because we do a double feeding in. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you can be a career coach to this person, and if he or she is not genuinely aware what are the gaps they have, they will not be able to build it. And trust me, they will remember you for life if you are very honest and you tell them exactly what was missing, and they will build you. And when they remember you for life, he or she can come to you in many different forms, because they will always be looking for opportunities, and you will be always attracting the talent. So this is a long term way of creating that magnetic, be providing the honest feedback. Now, when we look at, of course, all of you have been using technology, I'm sure, but I just want to give you a quick rundown that what kind of technology you can use to really amplify your efforts in branding, and what is the kind of automation analytics you use. I'm sure most of you know Canva, which really creates a visually appealing social media graphics and career page content. You don't have to spend hours, and you should utilize it. Hootsuite for managing and scheduling social media posts consistently. I don't need to remember everything on my head. LinkedIn, the primary platform for professional networking and content sharing. So use as much as technology you can for branding and presence. You don't have to really make everything and do it manually. So, GEM is a powerful recruiting platform for outreach, nurturing, and talent pipeline management, like HubSpot for CRM functionalities, email marketing, and tracking candidate interactions. Because you might have to work on the same candidates many times. You can go to HubSpot, you can try out all that information, you can see what kind of interactions that I had with what kind of candidates, and then you can quickly say, okay, now I got this right person, because this is the reason I had missed him last time. Let me not now hook him for the new opportunity. Again, no need to rely on your brain, no need to rely on your notes. Use technology here. I'm sure all of you are more than me aware about the ATSs and the CRMs, right? So, industry leading ATSs for managing applications, interview, and offers efficiently. And I think we have been using ATSs for a long time, but I would say use them even more efficiently. Sometimes what happens is that we love some functionalities of the ATS, and other functionalities slowly starts becoming dysfunctional. If you start using ATS from the day one and start uploading all the information in the ATS, your life will become easier, because then you don't have to rely on the trackers. And I have seen recruiters having an ATS, having an Excel sheet, and having their notebooks. And sometimes I feel Excel sheets and notebooks are for their comfort. They are managing ATS. I think ATS should manage us. It should be other way around. And we can only do that if we let go of notebooks and Excel sheets and focus on inputting everything in the ATS. Like, so then, for example, analytics and insights, like tools that track candidate sentiments and response rates. There are multiple AI tools available nowadays. When you are targeting a company, you should really look targeting a position, and you have list of target companies. Go to the sentiment analysis tools, identify what is happening in your target companies. And there are sometimes there could be challenges, the company is going through some turmoil, there could be challenge, there is company is going through a pivoting or some shifts. Go to those analytics and insight tools, get the information about those companies. And when you get that information and analytics, then you start tracking those candidates, because now you know what is the candidate sentiment from these target companies. And of course, also the people who you have approached in the past, what is their sentiment for your organization. Now, identifying pluses of your organization, identifying the minuses of the target organization, you can actually marry, and you can really create that positive impact for the closure. So whatever I have been talking to you, trust me, it's a reality, and it really helps us to be 2x and 3x if we follow these rules. I'm for the sake of since it's a public forum, I can't really mention the company's name, but there are organizations with who we have worked, and we have we saw the impact of employer branding on social media career sites, how much the number of applications gets increased. And it's not always, trust me, it's not always the compensation they have to offer. I am not cutting down the compensation, I am not, I would say, reducing the compensation, it's important part. But when you start creating that brand strategy, when you start using your social media, and when you start using your career sites, automatically your inbound applications, and we have multiple of such case studies with the organizations where we actually saw how the branding impacted their inbound application. This is one part. And another part, of course, I have worked with multiple recruiters throughout my career, and now of course I'm working both the sides with my team and with our client organizations. What I have realized, there is something, I know initially I used to get inquisitive why there is something unique about few recruiters after sourcing, that they are able to really make conversions better. And the more deeper I went into it, initially, when it was not 100% clear to me, what I realized is that it's the candidate engagement. But candidate engagement is a very broad word, right? So I wanted to really decipher what is that one thing they do differently than others. And what I realized is that they move to become a coach to them, to the candidate, rather than becoming a recruiter. Now, what is the fundamental difference between becoming a coach and a recruiter? A recruiter will always push for the closure because he or she wants this to be closed. What will a coach do? For coach, the position will not be at the center. The candidate would be at the center. And he will give him or her different perspectives. The role is about this is what you have to offer, and this is how this can help. And automatically, when I went more deeper into it and I really understood, the recruiters or the talent acquisition partners who had this ability to coach the candidates were able to close faster, because then they became a kind of a mentor or guide to the candidates. And I would say few people whom I really identified this coaching ability, I saw much higher closure. Am I really? Even some people, after they joined the organization, even if they were not happy there, they would reach out to this coach recruiter and say, you know what, I feel I'm not really happy. I should move on. You know, have you really built that kind of a relation? And if you're working for an organization, so recruiter was the first face which he had seen within the company. Now he might be dissolved or he might be lost in the ocean of the organization in some department, but he would always say, hey, look, you remember you had approached me for this role and you were my first interface with the company. I feel really stuck. What is going on? I don't have a clarity. The moment people come back to you with these questions, whether from the organization you are working or from your client organization, you just pat on your back and say, I have moved on from becoming a pushy recruiter to a coach. And that's why he or she is coming back to me. And automatically, you will see this has, we have a data to really prove that you have a 25% higher closure ratio when you really move from becoming a coach to from a recruiter to a coach. So I would like to close the session before we open it for question answers with one, I would say, a key takeaway which I want to give you all is that gone are the days when we used to have the SLAs, where we would say, okay, time to position, time to fill the position, and all that. I think it's moved on. It's about candidate NPS, right? What is the recall value? What is the net promoter score candidates have for you as a TA or for your organization? Are they really coming back to you? How do they rate you even if they have not joined your organization, right? It's not about the time to fill, it's about the acceptance rates, which means if I have 10 people, the identified people who went through the process, have two or three accepted or has one or has none accepted. If none has accepted, you have a serious question, you have a serious challenge there, which means you have not moved from a recruiter to a coach. because acceptance will depend a lot on the way you coach the candidate for that opportunity. Now, reach and engagement. When I said that, there was a 100% increase in the inbound application of an organization when they really had a consistent branding on their career pages and on the LinkedIn and other websites, I think the reach and engagement becomes a very powerful tool, even more than the SLA. Why? Because here you are able to attract much broader population, and your branding efforts are helping you in attracting those applications. Your branding efforts are helping you to really create that closure also, because it has a positive brand recall. But last but not the least is quality, speed, and satisfaction. And I would say, when you look at quality, speed, and satisfaction, there are two ways to drive it. Either you do it mechanically, push, 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 make your TA's life miserable and tell them, I want this, I want this, and I want by this time. Or else you build their capability so that they are able to brand the organization well. They are able to be a coach to the candidate. Automatically, what you will attract is a quality. Your acceptance rates will increase, and you will have much more satisfaction from the people who join you. When you focus on these metrics, you ensure a holistic view of recruitment effectiveness. It's not only just filling the numbers, it's about the NPS, it's about the acceptance rates, it's about the reach and engagement. And you start balancing the need for speed with being a positive candidate experience. And of course, when you are focusing only and only on speed, you tend to forget that, are you really attracting the quality hire? And quality hire is very important for the organization, because if you have a quality hire, it means high productivity, it means high retention. And if you have a high retention, high productivity, automatically it will reduce your recruitment cost, and it will give a positive outcome to the organization. So if I look at, if I have to really summarize the whole discussion, I would say that candidate NPS, acceptance rates, reach, and engagement will lead to quality, speed, and satisfaction. And this is what you should focus on. And these are the metrics which each of us, as a talent acquisition partner or a recruitment person, should keep for themselves. So I think with that, I would stop here and open the forum for any questions and answers. Maybe Sugandha can guide me. Sugandha, can we open it for questions and answers?
Yes, thank you, Ritu. Yes, we do have a couple of questions. So the first question is, do you see any touch points to engage from talent acquisition side from the time candidates accept offer till they join with us?
I think that is very, very important, and we should play that role, because accepting offer, I must say, is only 70% of the job done. And the kind of no shows and everything we are seeing in the organizations today, we have to give the same importance and stay in touch with the candidates till the time they actually join us. And it's actually a part of the engagement which I have been speaking consistently throughout my presentation.
Right. And the next question is, branding is not always company, it is about the role. And And the question is, how role can help in their development.
I think,
So the question,
yeah, please.
should I reframe the
Yeah,
question?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the statement was that branding is not always about the company; it is also about the role. So how can we use role as a marketing tool for as a branding?
Yeah, so I think this is a very good question, and we should not always be in a dilemma and outsource the branding to organization. You are the brand of the organization, and you are the first interface of the organization. How you write on the LinkedIn, how you write on the various state platforms, how you engage with different sets of audience is also talking about you as a brand and the organization you represent as a brand. Always remember recruitment, and I keep telling this always to my team, that recruitment is like a sales job. A sales represents an organization. That's how you also represent an organization. I think focusing on your brand and having those right attributes of brand for yourself and linking into the organization will make you successful in your careers, because then you will become like a talent attract. You will be attracted by the other organizations. They say, no, this recruiter is amazingly doing well. How does he do it while our organization might be even bigger? Though there is an interconnection between your brand and the organization, but you have a very, very important role to play there. Apart
All
from
right.
you, are you looking for opportunity? What else good pointers we can start with? I really loved this question because this is a very mechanical opening when you do. Are you looking for an opportunity? The way you introduce yourself should be the first part. For example, I will do a mock here with Sugandha saying that, hey, my name is Ritu. I work as a talent acquisition partner with Element Skill. I was going through your profile. I really found it interesting. And while I was working for one of the mandates, I felt you could be the right fit for that. And after that, you can say that, would you like to listen more about the opportunity? Now, just see the change in the way you are positioning it. Rather than making just mechanical, are you looking for an opportunity? Just say, I was going through your profile. I found it interesting. Everyone loves themselves. Make them feel better, make them feel special. And the moment you will do that, they will be emotionally engaged with you. Even if they're not looking for the opportunity, at least for the heck of it, they will listen to it. Right? So I think you have to change. Again, it goes back. I'm going back and back to the first part of the presentation, the way you engage with them.
Right, and I think the relationship that you create right from the first call, that really helps in closing a candidate. That is absolutely true. So the last question is: so this person is referring to a particular slide that said elements of a strong recruitment brand, and the question is, what are the four key practices organizations should follow to build an authentic and consistent recruitment brand?
I think there are two things. One is what you say, and second is what you do. You cannot create an idealistic brand and socialize it everywhere and not actually do that. People catch you easily. They are experiencing you, and everyone is expressing opinions about your organization. So, whatever you write on the social media or on your company page, it has to reflect in the way the candidates experience you when they interact with the organization. Because I always say that, the way we say that employee value proposition, EVP, is what the organization stands for. It practices and attracts the talent. Likewise, the way you speak about your organization and keep consistency about that, it's not only in the way you write and publish about it, is also the way you do it. And I really feel recruiters have a very big responsibility on their shoulders. Sometimes there are some lousy recruiters who don't talk nicely to the candidates, who are really irritated with the things happening in their organization. Every interaction has an impact on your brand. So please try to do a lot of consistency in the way you deal with the outer world. Every candidate you are interacting with is the brand ambassador of you and your organization. There is no blind world in nowadays.
Right. Thank you so much. We do have a couple of more questions, but in the interest of time, we will close them and then we can pick it up later. So, thank you so much, Ritu, for such an eye-opening session, and I'm sure everyone here is walking away with a fresh perspective on what it actually means to be a modern recruiter. And before we close, I would like to introduce HR Commune. It is a community of 1,500 plus HRs built for those who are ready to shift from operational roles to strategic leadership. It's a space that we have created where we have CHROs, HRBPs, and early career professionals who can connect to share real stories, sharpen business acumen, and also shape the future of work together. And we'll just flash a QR code, which all the members can just scan and join in 2 easy steps. Give us a few seconds, we'll just share it. Is it visible? No. Okay. Just give us a few seconds. We'll just we'll just put the link in the uh, comment box. Uh, you can you can use the link to join HR Commune. Yeah, I think the QR code is also visible now. You can simply scan and join. All right. And to our lovely audience, thank you so much for the energy, your questions, and for showing up for your own growth. And until next time, keep branding boldly, closing smartly, and keep reimagining what recruitment can be. Thank you so much, Ritu, and our audience for joining us today.
And I like the line which you mentioned, Sugandha, showing up for your own growth.
Yes.
It's a very powerful one, and I think all of them should remember that. Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely. Thank
Thank